am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
Welcome to Prattle World. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan, and in this podcast, I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And it is day 3 here at the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival 2024. Again, I am a member of the press team that Forbidden Worlds have very, very kindly given me the opportunity to do here and talk about and interview people about the event, people who work here or associated with it, business associates, creators of all kinds. And again, another wonderful, glorious day. I will be honest, I didn't manage to see everything, but I did get more interviews today. So, but some of the films I have seen, so I can comment on them anyway. But yeah, another great day. Again, I got a chance to talk to some great people again, some of the volunteers and some of the people again that are associated, the various businesses that are tied in together. All wonderful, lovely people. You'll hear all those kind of interviews at the end. They're all very relatively short. I think I got 4 or 5 on the day. So yeah, really, really, just lovely. Again, all the people are so kind, so polite, so welcoming, and again, the vibe is a very, very good vibe. Probably, as the kids say, to say vibe. People are vibing with things, whatever they say, but. The energy there is always really, really positive. And again, I'm probably said this on each and every one of these podcasts, and we'll probably say it on tomorrow's as well. But yeah, it's another great day here at Forbidden Worlds. It's a real blessing to be here, and it's such a great event, and I'm 100% support it in any capacity I can. However small or however large, I do want this event to grow and get bigger and more people come to it and see it. And yeah, it's great. Again, I'm sure you're all very much aware how much I like it from all of last year's podcast and this year's. But yes, let's talk about day 3. So it opened with something I've already covered before, which is Pam Grier and Jack Hill's Foxy Brown. If you remember, I think a couple of years ago now, me, Rhea and Tonya, we did a direct comparison between Coffee and Foxy Brown, which again have a lot of similarities. I will leave that in the show notes as well, so you can check that out yourself. I won't go into too much detail about the film because I kind of do it more so in that podcast while giving it a direct comparison with Coffee. Spoilers, but I like it. It's a good film. Pam Grier is an absolute powerhouse, feminist powerhouse. Whether the films are considered feminist or not, that is up to your own interpretation. I'm not going to tell you what feminism is or how it is determined or how you look at it. But the whole idea of this Killer Queens is to look at those kind of iconic female roles and directors and give them a spotlight, which I think, and again, it's not, feminism didn't just spring out of, the last few years or anything like that. I'm sure there's a lot of people complaining about virtue signaling and things being woke, but I mean the feminist theme and vein is kind of always been there, even from the silent era. I was talking to somebody there yesterday who was talking about the kind of risque things they were making in the 20s and the kind of bullshit women there. So yeah, it's up to you and your interpretation. Yeah, there are some problematic elements, but it is an exploitation film, a 70s exploitation film. There's, a lot of language and various other things. We talked about it again. The blaxploitation genre is divisive in a lot of ways to the Black community because most of the money that was being made was going to studios that are owned by white men. So they were making the most and arguably exploiting that audience and the creators themselves. But then it was the first time we had Black voices on screen, really. They had control of every creative decision for the most part. So again, it's a difficult one to navigate, and I'm certainly not going to navigate it myself. And I think we do a good job of talking about it on that previous podcast. But it's also great fun, and yeah, there is a lot of social commentary there, but it also has a lot of humor. I'd say it's more playful than Coffee. It's a bit more vibrant. arguably a bit more fun while still maintaining that kind of hard edge to it. But yeah, I think it's a wonderful choice. Tessa gave a really good introduction to the film and talked about her Pam's influence on here. And I said, Meiko Kaji is I've covered Meiko Kaji before. I've covered Long Kiss Goodnight before. I've covered Foxy Brown before. So like we are the programmers at this festival, are definitely on my wavelength in that regard, and yeah, this was an excellent choice. And yeah, it's a good way to kick off the day. And a lot of people surprisingly hadn't seen it. I don't know why I'm surprised, because I'm always bringing up these films and these weird films, getting people to watch them. So I guess I should have realised that not many people had seen this. But again, that's what's great about this festival. It is about discovering those films and things that you've never seen before. And that's the wonderful thing about it. Again, it's not all your popcorn flicks like Stargate. It's not all Kinzazars. There's something for somewhere in between for everybody. But yeah, a great film, action packed, funny, dramatic, great stunts. There's humor in there. There's so much to it, and I think Pam had a bit more control on this one. If I remember rightly, I think she had her own hairdresser and somewhat a wardrobe. She brought in her own wardrobe, so most of the outfits she picked and chose herself. I think Jack Hill preferred coffee, because I think it just had a bit more of a gritty edge, a bit more realistic edge maybe. But it's this one, I can understand why they chose this one over coffee, because it's a bit more playful, it's a bit more fun. I think if you put coffee on maybe that early in the morning, I think it was on at 11 or half 11, I don't think it's the right kind of vibe necessarily for the festival. Not that you can't have that. I mean, Blue Steel works, but that was definitely more of a later day type film, I'd say, that you would put on. But yeah, wonderful film. Great. A real showcase. You don't get, without Foxy Brown, you don't get Jackie Brown. You don't get Pam Grier's kind of later career resurgence. And again, she's a powerhouse, as a person, as an activist, as a woman, as all of her, parts of her life. And she's been through some horrific stuff. If you just read about her love life, it's awful. But she's quite happy now, I believe, living on a ranch with horses, and fair play to her. I can completely understand that, and yeah, I think she's wonderful. She did they did a BFI screening that Tessa talked about. I think the same year we covered Coffee and Foxy Brown, they showed those films and had Pam introduce them. I kind of wish I was there for those films and that introduction, because again, she's just an amazing presence, and just a wonderful human being all around. So anything to celebrate Pam Grier, I am absolutely here for. So another great choice in the program for Forbidden Worlds. But yeah, so and after that it was The Last Starfighter. So I got talking to Sarah, who's doing kind of the video recording for Forbidden Worlds. She's on the press team as well, and she's kind of grabbing people. She recorded me as well, helped her out with that. She's great, and she has her own reviews and film stuff and comments and all sorts. You go and check her out. I'll leave her various links below, but she's doing such a great job capturing everybody's thoughts and feelings. Yeah, so excellent choice again by Forbidden Worlds and their choices in associates and volunteers and everybody who's directly working for them or indirectly working for them. They're absolutely on it 100%. But yeah, I got talking to her and time kind of passed us by, and I realized I missed Last Starfighter. So while I was kind of dotted about, I managed to grab a few more kind of interviews and things which will be featured at the end of this podcast. But yeah, like I have seen Last Starfighter, so I can say little stuff about it. I think I watched it not long after I saw Night of the Comet, which I think would be a good shout if they've not already done it for Forbidden Worlds. Night of the Comet is an absolute banger. And again, we've covered it on the podcast with Tony. I know he's a big Last Starfighter fan. I don't think he's seen it since he was a child. And somebody else as well was saying that they kind of didn't want to revisit it just in case it hadn't aged so well. And, they wanted to keep that kind of childhood memory alive. I saw it as an adult. adult, and I quite enjoyed it. It's definitely the cheesier end of the kind of Star Wars exploitation, kind of trying to capitalize on the kind of, a little bit of ET in there, and all that other kind of sci-fi-esque stuff. The director is Nick Castle, who was the original Michael Myers in John Carpenter's Halloween. But he's his own artist in his own right. I don't know if he wrote it, but he definitely directed the film. Lance Guest stars as the titular Last Starfighter. Basically, I think it's a wonderful little concept, I'll be honest. Basically, it is a kid just living out in a trailer park, and he's really good at this one little arcade video game. He wants to kind of get out, see the world and everything, and do these great things. But he's kind of feels like he's kind of stagnating, and he's stuck. And the only thing he's really good at is this video game. And then one day this guy turns up, basically flies him into space and says, this was a training module type thing. And he is now been recruited into an army to battle. I think it was Zur and the Kodan Armada, if I remember rightly. And it's got very early CGI, and there's a lot of kind of dogfighting. You've got what's his name? Dan O'Herlihy is the kind of co-pilot, Reptilian co-pilot. He's having an absolute ball. He's all made up, but he's kind of the comedic relief in this, I think. I'm not sure who plays Centauri. He's the guy who recruits Lance Guest's character. But yeah, you've got Catherine Mary Stewart as well as the romantic lead, female lead. Wonderful again. Like we said, me and Tony absolutely adore Night of the Comet. A great flick. Again, if Forbidden Worlds haven't done that, they should definitely look into that. It's great fun. I forgot to mention as well, they got another, much like with Speed, they got another video introduction. So it was not only Nick Castle, not only Lance Guest, but also they got Catherine Mary Stewart as well, all to introduce the film. But I didn't watch it, unfortunately. But like I said, I'll leave a link below. Those introductions are on YouTube, available for everybody, even if you weren't at the event, or even if you are at the event and missed the screening like myself, busy doing other stuff. It's a fun, cheesy sci-fi flick, and it was, I think, relatively successful. I'm not sure, but there's definitely something to it. I like the Android version of Lance Guest that replaces him while he's away, and he's. I think if I remember rightly, they had to reshoot stuff because they really liked those scenes. They added more of this kind of comedic robot clone scenes when he's acting really weird, which is a nice kind of, it's a nice kind of interlude from all the kind of space battles and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, no, it's cool. I know that the writer of the original film is quite. He's got the rights to the script in the original film, I think. So he's a very kind of cautious about. I think he's been looking to do a sequel, which I think Nick Castle mentioned. I think there was a show called Future Man, which was with Peter from Josh Hutcherson from the Hunger Games. I think it's called Future Man. Because Seth Rogen wanted to do, a remake, reboot, or legacy sequel, whatever you want to call them these days. And the writer refused because he's like, I'm doing my own reboot, recall, remake, sequel, whatever he wants to call it. So he didn't want to kind of give up the rights. So Seth Rogen did a similar thing, but this instead of an alien. An alien planet needing to recruit people, it's actually like fighters from the future, like a far-flung future, and they need to stop a rebellion or an invasion or whatever it is. I think it went on for like 3 seasons. I think it was an Amazon. I feel like it was an Amazon thing, maybe. Check it out. I've not seen it, so I can't really comment on it, but I think that was the premise for that show. But why not? But yeah, it's great. It's great. Cheesy fun. It's again, doesn't take itself too seriously. It's kind of more leaning into the kind of Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers type of thing, while I guess there's a little bit of like ET in there and maybe some other stuff as well. So yeah, there's a lot of influences here, but again, like Nick Castle said in his intro, he's not really a big sci-fi fan. He didn't know how to write sci-fi, design sci-fi. but I think he left it mostly to his production designer, who he describes as a co-director, because he, I think he kind of, it's not really his bag so much, but I thought as an 80s sci-fi film, I think it does. I don't know if it's up there with my favorites, but I think it's an enjoyable kind of romp, and again fits in with the very much the theming and styling of this festival. And again, getting those introductions is amazing. Not only one introduction, but 3 people, doing the introduction is pretty cool. And like the key components of that film, the 2 stars and the director as well, that is pretty cool. To manage to wrangle that is very impressive, again, from Forbidden Worlds. But yeah, again, it's a good film. It's sad I didn't get to see the screening. I'm currently missing a screening now to record this, but again, needs must, and I want to get all these thoughts and feelings out. One thing I didn't want to miss is this year, Forbidden Worlds has decided to introduce a short film competition. So they have entrants from all over the world. I think there was some from New Zealand, from America, some from right here in Bristol themselves as well, direct. And I think they said they had 45 entries, and they whittled it down to 12, I think. So on Sunday, or today, as I'm recording, we'll be seeing the final 6. Yes, it was it 6 or 5? I can't remember. No, it was 6. It was 6. Yes, I'm right. So yeah, and I wanted to talk about those because I think what I love about this festival is showing those old school films, those classics, those cult classics, the exploitation stuff I've never even heard of. And I like my weird, obscure, forgotten pieces of media, be they good, be they bad, be they somewhere in the middle. I'm always up for exploring that. But I would say most film festivals do focus on new things. So new films, new short films, new directors, new creations, which I think is good and is also very important. But I'm not always like that's fine. And again, to take a risk on that, and if you're in the festival, that's fine. But I think what Forbidden Worlds does is mixes everything together in the best possible way. So you get your blockbusters you've all seen, like Speed, but then you also get the exploitation stuff, you get your cult stuff, and you get some old favorites or things you've never seen in years, or things you would never even think to have watched. It's on, and you get to see them, like Capricorn 1 and all the other films we talked about. But I think a very welcome addition to this festival is the short film competition. Now, there is 2 awards they're giving out. So one is being decided by the programmers. They're the judges, along with some other people as well. I think Tara Judah, who I mentioned, and I think it was the director of Polite Society, I want to say. Yeah, all the names are escaping me as per usual. It's been a busy weekend. And yes, so they all they're going to decide which ones are the best, and I'm going to go through them very shortly and what I thought about each of them. While trying not to spoil them. So yes, so we had 6, like I said, 6 different films. First of all, we had Kin. Oh, sorry, no, there's also an Audience Choice Award as well. There's also an audience choice, so we got to vote ourselves as an audience. So my choice was, I won't tell you what I voted for, but my choice was based on, there were certain ones I thought they're probably going to win the main awards, so I'm not necessarily going to vote for that one because I feel like it's already in the kind of top rankings already. So there were certain ones I was like, what did I enjoy just on a kind of immediate level as an audience? Like, what did people really get out of something? So I went and picked probably the more entertaining ones. However you view that, however you want to determine what enjoyable is to you on a spectrum, that's down to you. But yeah, that was my thinking. That and again, I think all of these films, all the ones that I saw, were amazing. I think they all deserve awards in their own right. They're all very, very good in what they do. So the first one was Kin. Now that is a kind of a post-apocalyptic action movie, very lone wolf and cub. You've got a young lady looking after their baby, a young mother, and she's kind of scavenging, looking for food and supplies to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. I think it was 2046 or something. I'm not sure the year, but it was kind of in the not so distant future. and the whole world's struggling, and she kind of, they go to this one location. The director and the producer were talking about this location making the film. I have to agree. Again, their names are escaping me, but go check them out. If I can find their names or link them, I will. But yeah, Kin was really, really good. I'm sure they'll be tweeting and they'll be linking stuff to whatever. But yeah, it's basically it's an action kind of stunt set piece. The choreography was incredible. I think all the stars and the choreographers were in it. Very little dialogue. It's all very visual, and yeah, it really worked. It was like really to for lack of a better phrase, it really packed a punch, and it really works. It's hardcore, and you feel every punch, and yeah, very kind of visceral, in your face, kind of like, yeah, just so punchy. Again, like, for lack of a better word, it was really, really something special. I thought, what a great way to open. Good choice for that one to open, because it really did kind of wake you up, and you're like, oh, what are we in for? And yeah, that was really, really good. The stunt work and the camera work was just incredible. Really, really fun little film. I highly, highly recommend it if it's out there for you to watch. I don't know if it is. Go check it out. But it was fantastic. All of these films are like micro budget, if not zero budget. And it's really impressive what they managed to accomplish with what they had. And again, the stunt performers, choreographers, I was talking about the Fall Guy and the Stuntman the other day, but stunt people are the unsung heroes of entertainment, and we take them for granted a lot. There's no Oscar for stunt people. There should be. There bloody well should be. I'm sure there's probably a stunt art award ceremony somewhere, but if there isn't, they absolutely should, because they're literally putting themselves day in, day out at risk for our entertainment to make those memories come alive. So yeah, it's an absolute. It is, again, I'm not taking anything away from the directors, because they captured it, and they captured it in the best possible way. But yeah, the stunt work is superb. But yeah, it all just comes together really well. So yeah, Kin was really, really good. I tried guessing what each of the films would be about based on kind of the title. But yeah, it's not. It doesn't really work that way. So yeah, I don't know what I thought that would be, but it wasn't. And then the next one was Echoes of Ecstasy, the Passcode Paradox. So I believe this was the New Zealand one. I think his name was Jericho, the director. It was brilliant. It was fantastic. It looked like it was going to be a kind of a H.P. Lovecraft, Cronenbergian type thing going on, looking at the image. And it kind of was, but also something very unusual. It's about a woman who, there's a giant fan that's got to clean up the atmosphere, and her dad knew the code to activate it, but he died. And this computer is trying to get into this woman's memory banks to find that passcode to activate it. But all she wants to do is relive her kind of glory days, shagging her husband and things. It is so weird, and I loved it. And the acting is very much, it's kind of almost like they're trying to make it sound and look bad, like they're going like way over the top, like they've got really over the top accents. The dialogue is so bizarre, and there's one guy who comes in, he's just like a jitterbug, and some very, you can tell it, like they're kind of steering into that low budget short film, kind of those tropes and things, and kind of making fun of it. I always think about this like Garth Marenghi. You need to be a great filmmaker. You need to be a great creator to make something look really bad. Like, to know how to make something look shit, you've got to know how to do it well. And I feel like this is one of those. And again, it is not bad. It knows what it is. It is purposefully doing this. It is a good short film. But the cheese and the fun of it, and the idea, and the weird kind of special effects and dream sequences and everything, and it had it had a real arc. It went through everything. And there's like a line, this lady must be in her 50s or 60s, I believe, and there's a line going, "I'm only 21," because she's like going back into her own past, but she looks the same age she does. And there's humor in that. There's a bit of fun, and again, they're reliving kind of memories and stuff. So there's a bit of like eternal Sunshine and the Spotless Mind, something like that. I can't remember the title off the top of my head, but there's a lot of those kind of mind game kind of things going on. Again, I won't spoil it, but I thought it was highly entertaining. I thought it was really, really fun, an interesting take, and again, it was kind of wanted to be that cheesy 80s horror film, sci-fi horror film that we all love so much. So I appreciated that, and the fun that they were having. They were very tongue-in-cheek, like really tongue-in-cheek, a lot of fun. Highly recommend that one, the Echoes of Ecstasy, the Passcode Paradox. Great title as well. And then next up we had Badger. So this director comes directly from Bristol. Again, name's escaping me right now, but it is basically a I don't know. It's kind of it's almost like an animal cruelty commentary about culling of badgers. And then there's a killer badger going around, and this again, the humor is on point in this. It's really, really funny. The dialogue is great, and again, like steering into that kind of skid, really, really clever. They clearly, again, like making it kind of knowing it's going to look shit, and like playing with that expectation and that. And the way you view it, they clearly there's you see the badger running. They can't use a badger, obviously, but they put a badger costume on a dog, and you can tell it's a dog in a badger costume. But again, that is all part of the kind of the fun and the knowingness of what they're doing and what they're playing with, those ideas and expectations of the monsters and seeing it in film. But it's great. That one, there's not much to say about that one in regards, but I think it was really good. It's about a woman in charge of badger culling, and there's a dog who's gone missing, and a guy gets killed early on, and that leads into a whole nother mess of stuff. Really good, very violent and funny, and I highly recommend that one as well. But it's not heavy on plot, but it doesn't need to be. Like, it is absolutely what you need it to be. Speaking of short, next up we had Welcome to the Party, which is the director wasn't here for this one. But it was definitely the shortest of the short films. I think it was only about a minute or so, or a minute and a half long. But again, well choreographed action scene. This character called the Face who has his kind of LED light up mask. He is a vigilante, clearly in some respect, and having a fight scene with this guy. And then it's again very well shot, very well choreographed. Looks great. The mask and the light of the mask is brilliant. Very visually kind of arresting. The design's great as well. Like, that mask looks like out of this world, like high quality stuff. And it kind of ends with him jumping on top of the car this guy's gotten into and kind of like smashing his head in, I believe, if I remember rightly. But it does say the Face will return, so clearly there's plans. Maybe that's kind of more of a sizzle reel, or I'm not sure, but it was really, really good. Very short but very sweet as well. Excellent piece of just, again, action choreography and editing and filmmaking, much like Kin as well, like very action heavy. Wonderful bit of filmmaking. And then we had an interesting one called Walk in the Park. Now, this is a purely, again, don't know the director's name. I'll look them up. If I can find the names, I'll link them. But it was basically an American gentleman introduced it. I believe he was the director as well. He said that it uses several different styles of animation, and it's basically about a guy who takes his dog for a walk in the park, surprisingly, and all these kind of weird things start happening. These fireflies and fires start happening, and several cars turn into a giant robot, and it's done really well. There's a lot of kind of intrigue, and it's kind of almost like a dream. Very kind of, I don't know, Lynchian logic to it a bit. Just weird, but in a good way. And you follow the dog, and the dog has, is a character and a life all to itself, and the main character. And then I kind of have to spoil the ending a little bit because I can't really talk about it, other than that. Again, it's like a decent length, so it's not, they clearly spent a lot of time, hours and hours creating this. Really, really good. But at the end, he goes into this building and meets these children, and they're responsible for all the crazy happenings going on. And it's kind of a little Twilight Zone or The Shining or what's the other one I was thinking of? Like a childlike, very Stephen King kind of thing going on a little bit. So you have these children, who have these incredible psychic or godlike abilities and don't know how to control them or do know how to control them and are being cruel and malevolent. And basically, I think they want him to join them, like to take a drink of the destruction and the fire they've caused, which is the city they're living in or he's living in. It's very, very unusual, but quite arresting visually. And again, you completely knew what was going on all the time, even though you kind of didn't, because it's this weird reality altering. It was a really interesting one. I think again the audience were kind of almost dumbstruck by that one, because it was just like, how do we feel about this? What are we, we just kind of were all very drawn in and sucked in by the, by the narrative, the visual narrative of the piece. And then finally, we've got probably the most powerful of all the films featured in that one, and it was Only Yourself to Blame. Now, this kind of trigger warning for anybody. This is about this kind of essay and rape culture and that kind of thing. So it's quite full on. So if you find it uncomfortable then and discussing it, then you can turn off. I totally understand. But yeah, it's about a young lady out with her friend, and her friend is drunk, tried to get home, put her in a taxi with a very weird and intense guy. And is like, text me when you get home. And then she starts walking home herself until she notices there is somebody following her. Again, I don't want to spoil it too much, but it is about her own past and trauma and her trying to confront that and accepting that side of herself, that part of herself, and kind of forgiving herself as well in a sense, even though absolutely not her fault, but that's kind of what, I think we all need to forgive ourselves for a lot of things, but yeah, it was not her fault. She has to accept that a bit like kind of, Good Will Hunting. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's kind of that thing. It absolutely was not her fault. I can't stress that enough. And that's what the culture is about. And you see her talking to herself after this event, when she's flashing back to the event, and she's talking to herself and she's saying, she uses words like slut and things, directed at herself, like how could you be so stupid or naive and things like that. So yeah, really absolutely hard hitting stuff. A wonderful film in a lot of ways, and very disturbing at the same time. But again, this is a real issue, and it needs to be talked about. And we should feel uncomfortable about it. We should feel, I understand some people again might make them too uncomfortable, which is fine as well. But yeah, it's a hard topic to broach, I think, for anybody, especially for filmmakers. But the director, again, she's put it together. I think the actors in it are absolutely nailing it. The choreography in there as well. Again, don't want to spoil it too much, but yeah, I thought it was definitely the most powerful of the six we saw at the festival. And yeah, I can, that one's going to stick with me for a long time, I think, because of the power of it and what it was saying about society at large and the world we live in. And there was some very worrying statistics recently about people being spiked and the amount of people that have been spiked. I think it was like 80% of people on a night out or something. I don't know where the statistics were from, but they were very scary statistics, considering. But yeah, a very worrying world that we live in, for in all the the ways we look at it. But I think a wonderful, beautiful, terrifying film that one was. So yeah, highly recommend that one. Again, hopefully that's available online or will be soon if it's not. But yeah, I think each and every one of these, and especially this one, Only Yourself to Blame, deserve some sort of kudos, and if I can, bring a light to them and the creators, again, I'll try and find them and put them in the show notes if you want to check them out or try and find them or speak to them or discuss their films with them. I'll see if I can find that. I know there's a lot. I can always go back and alter as well and stuff. So I'll do that. But yes, anyway. So yeah, that was the 6 films. I voted. So again, there'll be an audience award for overall, and then there'll also be the judges for the festival will make their own decision as well. But yes, so the next 2 films I missed again. So I missed La Femme Nikita. I've not seen La Femme Nikita, so I couldn't really say much about it. I know the premise is. I think the young woman gets herself in trouble or accidentally kills someone, gets arrested or something. I know it's a Luc Besson movie, who I like his work. I don't know if I necessarily like him as a person. You can look into that yourself and his life, however you want to describe it, whatever he's done or doing. But yeah, I can understand why people would feel again uncomfortable with that. But again, we do kind of have to separate the art from the artists and appreciate how many hundreds and hundreds of people worked on that film that are not the one person. Much like Capricorn 1, do we not Capricorn 1? Do we not watch Capricorn 1 because OJ Simpson's in it? No. There's problematic stuff in 701 Scorpion and problematic stuff in Foxy Brown. But I think to go, like I've said a million times before, we have to look at it in a modern lens and appreciate what we wouldn't do now or how things have changed, how far we've come along as a society, as people, as creators, as just everything. Things we wouldn't do then, things that were done we certainly wouldn't do now, and certainly some lines and some choice dialogue will upset people, and that's fine, and we appreciate that. And I can understand why people wouldn't want to watch something like Cannibal Holocaust, for example. And again, when I did it, people were like, "I've got to see this," and I'm like, "Do you really? Are you sure?" I've watched it, so you don't have to. But if you want to watch it, that's down to you. And surprisingly, a lot of people did watch it because of my kind of correspondence on it. And yeah, but yeah, I've not seen it, but I hear it's very, very good. I know it was remade with Bridget Fonda. I can't remember the name of that film, but yeah, it's kind of an early 90s version of it. Yeah, it's. Again, I haven't seen it, but I hear good things about it. I like other Luc Besson works like Leon and things that he would produce and make and write and stuff. Yeah, I don't want to say much on it because I don't know it. I did want to go see it, but I was meeting up with some friends from primary school. The plan initially was that they were going to join me at the festival and we were going to go see some films. But it unfortunately the way their lives are, it just didn't materialize like that. So I had to miss that to go see to go have a curry with them and have a drink. And they were considering Outland, which again I missed. But Outland I have seen, so I can talk about Outland. Outland is basically High Noon. So if you've seen the Western High Noon with Gary Cooper, basically High Noon in space. It is very much kind of like, again, it's riffing on that kind of truckers in space attitude that kind of Aliens brought in, kind of, it's a very kind of a real tactile world, nothing sleek and sexy like Star Trek. It is very much like miners and truckers in space. And it's about so Sean Connery plays a new marshal on this space station, and his family decide to leave him because they've had enough of traveling and moving around, and his son has never seen Earth. And he's trying to work it so he can get back to his family and he can have that kind of, once he's done this job, he'll come home hopefully. But yeah, they're a very strained relationship, very strained kind of family. But he's bound by his duty. He's doing the right thing, and he finds out that the miners here are on drugs. They're on kind of, I guess it's some sort of amphetamine or some sort of kind of steroid or something. I can't remember exactly the type of drug it is, but it helps them kind of, they can work longer hours, they can get more work done, they're more likely to make more money. and they are kind of basically getting drugs in to make sure they can do that highly illegal substances. And it's driving some of them insane. So they're going and killing themselves, opening up airlocks, or stabbing themselves, or exploding into space. It's brilliant. I love it. Again, it's celebrating Peter Hyams. I'm a big fan of his 2010, the year we made contact. Again, they're going to show Time Cop today, and they're going to show, was there another one? No, Time Cop was the final one, which I'm definitely going to see because I haven't seen that in a while. I remember liking it. Ron Silver's in that. He was in Blue Steel, which was also shown this year. And it's great. If you're a big kind of if you like your sci-fi movies, if you like Sean Connery, if you like kind of westerns to a degree, if you like that kind of alien, I think there is a fan theory that this was set in the alien universe. Technically it can't be because but it's a fan theory because all of the kind of technology looks the same. It's all about a shady corporation, people mining or doing something or terraforming, and they want results, and the only way to get those results is to take the drugs. Peter Boyle is amazing in it, like as this kind of he runs it, but he's a bit weird, he's a bit odd, and he's playing golf. But yeah, he's brilliant, and it's so good. And I feel like Sean Connery could just kick his ass if he wanted to, and he very easily could. But I love that, much like Gary Cooper, he goes, will anybody help me? I'm trying to, these guys, because they hire killers in because he ruins like a shipment or arrests somebody and people are dying, and his deputy gets killed. And again, everyone before him's been absolutely corrupt and let things slide. And yeah, it's a great film, and that duty to what you really want, and the doctor in it who passed away recently. Again, I'm really bad with names this weekend, blanking on the name, but she passed away recently, and she's superb in it, absolutely brilliant character, and again, very cantankerous kind of character, bit jaded, and again, it's Sean Connery who comes in and is like, but right is right and wrong is wrong, and and he does his best to kind of survive, and some great special effects, some great moments. I love it as a sci-fi film. I think if you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to see it. Track it down, get it on Blu-ray. I've got it on Blu-ray. It's superb, just a superb sci-fi film, Western sci-fi. Yeah, just brilliant. So yeah, but I'll leave it there for the day. Again, I'm just going to include some of the interviews off the back of that. So off the back of my feelings on the films and the ones I didn't see. But yes, I've missed Inner Space this morning, so I probably won't talk about that too much tomorrow. But I have seen it before. I love it. But again, I've been struggling with the Great Bristol Run is on today. I forgot, and the second I stepped outside, it was an absolute. Yeah, all fair play to them, and yeah, it's just unfortunate. It just caught me because I was going to go meet my friends again for breakfast, but I couldn't. All the roads were closed. My maps wasn't working on my phone, so I couldn't walk there either. So, and even if I wanted to walk there, it might take me a long while, and I needed to record this as well. So it was just, it just didn't quite work out. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying the festival. It's been a long one, but really enjoyable one. Everyone's been so nice, so lovely, so welcoming. Again, can't say that enough. Everyone I spoke to has been very polite. I did have one gentleman turn me down when I asked him for an interview, but again, which is fair, which is fine. I thought, he wasn't doing anything. He was just sat there, and he said, "Oh no, I'm not interested in that." And I was like, "That's fine. Nothing wrong with that." But I did get more interviews today, so hopefully I'll get more interviews today. Sorry. But yeah, I'll leave that with you, and hopefully I can get to editing the first one I've done and maybe get that out today. Hopefully, fingers crossed. If not, maybe tomorrow at the very latest, I think. But yeah, thanks again, guys. Wonderful to be a part of this amazing festival again. Really, really honoured to be a part of this in even a small way. But everyone's been great, and yeah, we'll get some more. I'll get some more content coming your way. But yeah, it's been a blast, and one more day. It's only one day left, so I'm going to catch as many as I can, and still catch a few people and volunteers and associates and all these wonderful people involved with the festival. But yeah, thanks again, and I will see you next time for day 4 of the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival 2024. Goodbye.
Hello, this is Spider Dan at the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival 2024. I'm here with another audience member who's just come out of Foxy Brown.
Hi, my name's Dennis. Just come out of Foxy Brown. I've got a day pass today, so I'm just here for the day. So I'm seeing all the films today. Really enjoyed it. I thought I'd seen it before, and I haven't. So I think I'm getting mistaken with coffee. So yeah, first time I've seen it. Really enjoyed it. Not sure I really buy into Jack Hill being a feminist.
Yeah,
more likely
accidental.
Yeah, exploitation rather than anything else. But yeah, good fun, good vibe. Very much of its time. But yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we on the podcast, I've already covered it. We actually compared coffee directly to Foxy Brown because there are quite a lot of similarities. Like Jack Hill directs both, Pam Grier stars in both AIP films. You know, just there's a lot of similarities there. And it was initially going to be a sequel to Coffee.
Right, okay.
They rewrote it at the last minute because they weren't sure if Jack Hill was going to be involved. But at the last minute they were like, no, you can do it. And he was like, oh, okay then.
I figured as soon as the credits started that I hadn't seen it.
You know, spoilers for the film, but it ends quite in an iconic fashion, I'd say.
Yeah, again, nice bit of gore, which I probably wasn't expecting in that sort of film. So yeah, Death by Aeroplane is always a useful,
the head comes off.
Thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and more. But have you been to Forbidden Worlds before? Is this your first time?
Yeah, so I try and come every year. It does fall around my birthday, so I'm not allowed to come for the whole festival because my wife doesn't allow, but she'll allow me one day. But I've chosen today Foxy Brown and Outland.
Yes, yeah.
So I do remember going to see Outland at the cinema. So yes, I am
showing your age.
I am that old. And I've got another one coming up this weekend as well. Haven't seen it since then, no. So never saw it on VHS, never saw it on video or anything since then. So yeah, be interested to see how I'm member of that.
Oh, that's a excellent choice. I think you've picked one of the best. I mean, all the days are great. Don't get me wrong, but I think this particular kind of lineup today is, I think, very, very good.
The shorts, I always like watching the shorts as well, so I'd be interested to see
absolutely.
Well.
Yeah, I think this is the first year they've done shorts.
I don't remember last year. Yeah.
No, there was definitely no shorts last year, but so I'm interested to see that. And again, like, it's nice to mix the kind of classic genre stuff with new kind of genre exploitation stuff. So yeah, so you've come every year, you said.
Yeah, I think so.
Is this your favourite year so far? I mean, the days you start, to be fair.
Yeah, look, it's good. There's a lot of people around. There's good to see some stalls there. I always like the local beer and the and the
cocktails and everything. Yeah,
it's just got a really good vibe to it. So yeah, I thoroughly recommend it to anybody.
This is what I say. I've like it's the atmosphere of the people that kind of make it for me as well. Like everybody is here, so like, and again, like everybody in every screening is really respectful. I think like if you go to a general cinema show, you got kids running around and people just don't caring.
I think festival crowds, aren't they? So I go to Fright Fest as well.
Yes, very nice.
You know, same sort of vibe, very friendly, very very interactive, very helpful to people and stuff. So yeah, no, I enjoy it. But as I say, I'd come for one day a year.
Yeah, one day. You've got to treat yourself.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this is I was saying before, this is kind of my Mecca or my Christmas for the year kind of thing. So it's everything that I love. I think the organisers have been doing such a great job. Everyone's so welcoming, so nice, so polite, like yourself, of course. But yeah, I'm having an absolute blast, and it's just I can't really compare the 2 years, last year, this year. They're both excellent anyway. But everybody, you know, from the audience to the people involved to all the stalls and everything, it's been amazing, and I highly recommend it.
I certainly remember the first year in 1982. So to see Blade Runner and stuff.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh!
So you know, the first time they opened up the cinema again and all that. So again, iconic cinema. So I came in with my kids and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it does have a history to it. I didn't realise the kind of depth of history. I'm a northern lad, so I don't know.
So am I.
I don't. Oh yeah. Where are you from?
Merseyside.
Merseyside, really? All right, yeah. Well, I'm from Blackpool.
Okay.
Way back when. So yeah, I live in Manchester currently, but yeah, so it's a bit of a trek. But anything else you'd like to say about the events or anybody involved?
No. There's obviously a few tickets available for 2 feature shows. There was a few there today, so I was surprised at that. And so yeah, I think more people who get to know about it, the better. Tickets are reasonably priced, so yeah, I would thoroughly recommend it to anybody.
And this is what it is. It's about getting the word out, making people aware of. Again, with all these kind of obscure films and cult films, it's getting the word out there, and that's what it's about.
It's absolutely right to try and broaden your horizon. So the more things you see that maybe you haven't seen before or you're uncomfortable seeing, it's worth it's worth doing that. You know,
Be adventurous.
yeah, some people have an issue with foreign language films because they don't like subtitles and stuff. People just need to get over it because they're missing out on so much.
Well, don't worry, Stargate didn't have any subtitles last night because there was the copy they got was not hard coded with the subtitles. Unfortunately, I think it was directly from Roland Emmerich or the director's cut. I think so. Unfortunately, but it's Stargate. We kind of knew what was going on. It wasn't. If it was the same for Kinzaza, I think
might
we would
have been an issue.
Yeah, it might have been a huge issue, but luckily, Stargate. Most people have seen it, I think. So yeah. But I just wanted to thank you again for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival.
And you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Spider Dan again at the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival 2024. And I've just bumped into somebody I'm a very big fan of on YouTube. Introduce yourself, sir, and tell us what you're doing here.
My name's Robin. I'm the writer and reviewer for Dark Corners Reviews, and I'm here covering the festival and because I love the films that they show.
Good answer. Very succinct.
Thank you. I like to think I've got some game.
And you've been doing it for how long now?
I think it's about 15 years. I was trying to check. It's it must be 10 to 15 years. We have been reviewing bad movies and then moved into good movies and then into great movies. So we review a bad movie every Monday. We review a streaming movie, sort of interesting oddments you find online every Friday. And we try to get out a big special about 5-6 times a year about classics and franchises or top tens, that sort of thing.
A lot of variety, much like this festival itself. Have you been enjoying the lineup this year?
I have. It's been what I've sort of like come to expect from Forbidden Worlds Festival. But there's all sorts of stuff that you've heard of. There's that you get the chance to see on a much bigger screen or just on any big screen with a lot of classic films that you never got the chance to see. But there's also stuff that is completely new to me. I'd never even heard of Kinzaza, which is definitely my takeaway of this. The festival's not over, but I will be amazed if anything stuns me as much as that did. And I'd never even heard of it. I never knew it existed.
I'm glad I've been introduced to it as well. I enjoyed it on some levels and maybe not so much on others. But I'm always open to exploring new and obscure, strange films. And that one had a lot to say, I think, a Soviet sci-fi film. I don't know what you thought to it.
I thought it was bad. I definitely think it had things to say. I don't always know if I was hearing what it was thought it was saying to me, but I was never bored, which almost surprised me because the guy who introduced it seemed to be apologizing for it right from the kickoff, just to make sure it was as if he was afraid a gang were going to come and lynch him afterwards just for being associated with it. And he wanted to make it very clear not everybody gets this film. And I don't know if I got it, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
It's the KGB are definitely coming for him, definitely.
Yes. Yeah. But it's what you go to the big screen for. It's an experience. I was chatting to someone earlier and they said if I'd watched it at home, just sort of like on your laptop or whatever, then I'd have been on my phone, I'd have been going to get a coffee, and I don't think I would have been absorbed into it. But in that situation, with an audience, with everyone watching it together, then that was the best way to watch it, and I loved it. I keep saying that. It's this sort of way with words that makes me such a popular reviewer.
It was a collective kind of what the hell from the audience. You could feel that it was very palpable.
It's those moments when I love watching particularly old silent comedies in theatres with a lot of people. You laugh more freely when there's other people laughing. When you can hear the laughter in a cinema, this felt like you could hear the what the fuck going on around. That there's a palpable sense of confusion. But really sort of pleased. I am glad to be blindsided by whatever the hell coup means or
whatever you want it to mean, I think.
It was, they established.
They have a glossary of terms. It comes up halfway through.
Yeah, with no explanation. And as the man did say, by that point, you pretty much worked out what everything meant anyway. But I thought it was a very consistent world in which it was taking place. An utterly bizarre and inexplicable one, but it never betrayed itself the way that a lot of more expensive big budget sci-fi sometimes does, especially over the course of a franchise. They start pissing about with stuff that was established early on. There's none of that with Kinzaza. It was all there. It was all consistent.
Yeah. Apart from that section where he's gone, it took me 6 years to get back, and he's talking to the woman that hired him to get the violin to him, but then that is not the way the film ends.
No, I have to admit, I've no idea what that scene was about. So, I mean, you've trod on my point. Clearly, it wasn't that consistent. No idea. Or was that because there were two different timelines going on as well? So maybe it was, maybe it was that.
They travel in time twice. So once at the end and once kind of 2/3 of the way through. But then there's that inexplicable scene as well. But I don't know if maybe that's a third timeline
or a dream.
Yeah,
I wasn't clear, but I'm gonna say that was one of the timelines. That was one of the other alternatives.
Let's go with that. it's all merged. It's all multiverses nowadays. That's what's trendy.
Yeah,
maybe it was ahead of its time.
I felt like the director knew what he was doing. So I felt like he didn't care that if anybody else knew.
Well, is there anything else you're looking forward to at the festival at all?
I'm massively looking forward to The Devil's Sword, although I have seen it before. We reviewed it a few years ago, but I think on the big screen, then the madness of that is really going to stand out. The guy riding on the boulder, the guy who I thought was bald, and it turned out to be his hat. Who would buy a hat that is palpably the same color as their skin and with like a fur fringe around it? It just looks like a monk hat. And also Long Kiss Goodbye, which I've never seen. Which I think is, it's a very mainstream film, just one that slipped me by. And that's the other cool thing about this festival. It's not just oddities. There's the big filmers that slipped you by or the chance to see them on the big screen again.
Well, I have actually covered that myself and highly recommend. It's probably one of Sam Jackson's best roles, arguably one of Gina Davis's best roles. Rennie Harlin, Shane Black. It's all a banger from me. So yeah, highly recommend. But I have one final question for you. If you were to put on a film festival, cult, genre, exploitation, whatever, what films or film would you have?
What one film I get to pick?
One out of all of them.
I would pick, this is just off the top of my head.
Sure.
If you asked me a different day, it would be something else. But we found a Russian film called V, which is based on a short story by Nikolai Gogol. And it was one, again, that I'd never heard of. We reviewed it for our streaming strand. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And when we put it out there, it's one of those that a lot of people have come back to us and said, thank you for introducing us to that. So yeah, I would like to introduce that to more people.
That's another thing I've covered on my podcast. We did a top 5 witch movies, and that was one of my choices. Just, it's insane. Very weirdly kind of Evil Dead almost a little bit. Maybe like a Sam Raimi feel to it.
Yeah, a classy Evil Dead. I love the way the witch moved. I love the special effects are very basic but very effective. I thought it was great.
Yes, flying around. I love that.
I'm just going to name check another one. Maybe this could be in your witch top 5 as well. Yeah. Have you heard of the White Reindeer?
Yes, it's kind of a werewolf thing, but it's a reindeer. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, go with that. But it's another one I discovered, I think, on BFI Player or something, which I'd never heard of. And it's just a really cool film. You just think this stuff's out there if you sort of dig for it.
They do. You've
got festivals are the best. Yeah, festivals. That's what festivals are for, I think, to some extent.
I agree. You've got to look for the diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like yourself on this podcast and on your YouTube channel, you find some diamonds, and then sometimes you find some shit.
Yes, the diamonds and the shit. That, I think, is the fact.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you again. This has been wonderful. It's great meeting you. They say never meet your heroes, but I feel like this has been one of the better interactions I've had with heroes.
Well, I don't know what to say now. Spidey Dan.
You're all embarrassed. It's okay.
Never been called a hero before. There are many kinds of heroes. I'm not any kind, but thank you very much.
You're also very modest, so I appreciate that. But thank you again for your time and for being part of the festival as well.
Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Spider Dan back at Forbidden Worlds Film Festival 2024, and I'm with another one of the associates or business partners of Forbidden Worlds. Introduce yourself and tell us how you got involved.
That sounds so grown up. My name is Sam Espenson, and I am the owner and maker at Espenson Spirits. So I make infused spirits, gins, vodkas, whiskies up in BS5 in Bristol. But I am also a massive film nerd. So when we launched our business, I launched it at 20th Century Flicks.
Really?
And I used to go to Flicks in the 90s. I did a film degree. I used to be a production assistant. So I was tech editor of Broadcast Magazine for a while. So I'm coming from the other way around. And my business partner used to own a VFX company. So I'm coming at it from the other way around.
Yeah.
And then I've ended up making booze.
This is it. I mean, I think that's all creatives anyway, isn't it? Eventually, they just resort to the booze. The world breaks them and destroys their dreams. No, absolutely not.
I'm here to destroy destroy dreams. That's right.
Well, you've saved me yesterday because I think I told you I was surviving on a bag of Haribo. And your concoctions kind of saved my life because I had no other food intake apart from that.
Thank you. Well, the great thing is that I get to kind of use a bit of my nerdy knowledge and film knowledge. So I always do ridiculous puns and cocktails. And
I love them. I love all the names.
Thank you. Yeah, and then so we also do a special gin in partnership with Flix, and Dave and I came up with the concept and the answers to the question that no one was asking, which was if Raiders of the Lost Ark was a gin, what would it taste like?
That is a good question, and not one I've asked myself, but it's a good question.
Not poison dates, which is what everyone goes for, but basically it's like the color of sort of desert sand, and it is medjool dates, it's cinnamon, and I think called grains of paradise, which is like a peppery Egyptian spice. Somebody who tried it for the first time a couple of years ago said it reminded them of being in a Moroccan bazaar, and I was like, that's it, we've done it.
Nailed it. You've nailed it.
We've cracked it. So we're also selling bottles of that here, and the label is the Flix logo of Betty Blue, but as a Harrison Ford in a hat
which
with a
I
whip.
love. I shared it on my Instagram and Twitter the other day. Just wonderful little design. I love the kind of meshing of everything, which is kind of what the film festival is about. It's kind of the art house and the kind of exploitation and genre, but also those big fun blockbusters as well.
So you just described it perfectly, because the thing is, the bunch of people that come along to this, some of them are absolutely deep film nerds, but other people just really enjoy coming along and watching a rollicking blockbuster, and there's room for everybody at Forbidden Worlds.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's just such a wonderful vibe. Everyone's so lovely, so polite, so nice, much like yourself. I do have one final question. Being the film nerd you are, and your years of experience, if you were to put on your own festival, or if you could suggest a film for this festival, what would you suggest?
So I am really hoping that we get to do this one year. I would really love to see The Company of Wolves at the big screen, and I would love to introduce it because it was a real awakening for me as a teenager, seeing it on Channel 4 late at night without knowing anything. I'd never seen any Neil Jordan. I'd certainly never seen any naked teenage lycanthropes. And it genuinely blew my mind away. And it sort of proved to me that film could be esoteric and weird and beautiful all at the same time. So that would be my pick.
Wow, that's an amazing pick. I'm a big Neil Jordan fan myself, so you're talking to the right person. And we just saw Stargate with one of the stars of The Crying Game, quite a famous one. Not quite The Crying Game, Stargate, but still a lot of fun. Still a lot of fun. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the festival, or the people here, the partnerships, the friends you've made? Anything else?
But Bristol's a really special place anyway, and it's home of a load of great film people. But there's something about this particular festival, the fact that it's weirdly in the aquarium, the fact that we're weirdly in an IMAX that isn't really an IMAX, the fact that we all kind of muddle along together and we're all just a bunch of misfits and weirdos, and we come together and watch great things, and it's just my favourite.
Embrace the weird. That's what I always say. Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. That's been wonderful. Probably my favourite of all the interviews I've done. So thank you for that. That's been great. Hello again. This is Spider Dan of Spider Dan and the Secret Boars at the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival 2024. I'm here again with another one of the volunteers. Introduce yourself and tell us how you got involved with Forbidden Worlds.
Hi, my name's Kit. I've been volunteering at Forbidden Worlds since their second iteration. So I don't actually know. Is that 2022, possibly? I came to the first one as a punter, came to see Blade Runner on the big screen, which was fantastic, and a incredible hallucinogenic Snow White martial arts film called Thrilling Bloody Sword. Shortly became one of my favorite movies after that. Very difficult to get hold of. So that's exactly the kind of thing that people want to come and watch here, that they can't get on streaming services or even very difficult to get a physical copy of. That's what the guys do here. It's such a great job of getting hold of those hard to watch films. So, and I'm lucky enough to live in the same building as Tessa, one of the organisers. So when she said they needed some volunteers, I was like, sign me up. Sounds great.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful event, and I came last year as a punter, and I, just like yourself, absolutely loved it. I was like, I don't know if they'll have me, but I'll ask and see if they'll have me on the press team. And luckily, they were like, we'll let him in. We'll let that weirdo in, and we can see what he can do. But yes, it's been a blast. Have you managed to see many of the films? I know you're volunteering, or have you watched them before? Maybe they came up at all.
I've seen a few of the films before, obviously Speed and Capricorn 1, but great to see them again on the big screen. I don't think I've seen them in the cinema before, so that's fun. And the crowd for both of those films were great. The audience participation here is absolutely fantastic. Cheering, screaming, but no talking. So that's kind of the perfect mix, really. So I managed to see most of the films, I think. I have to strategically pick my my lunch breaks because I don't really want to miss anything. But yeah, so I think the highlights so far: Capricorn 1, and this morning we watched Foxy Brown, the 70s Pam Grier film, which is absolutely unbelievable, great fun. A little bit risque by modern standards, but just so much fun. And again, the audience were well into it, so that's why we all come together for these kinds of events, to enjoy that kind of thing together.
I could not agree more with you, Kit. Well, I've been asking some people if they could program the festival themselves or their own festival, what films would they choose? So I want to direct that question towards you now. What film or films would you pick to have part of maybe your own film festival?
I think if I were lucky enough to be able to program something here at the IMAX in the aquarium in Bristol, I would have to pick something that would fully take advantage of every square inch of the screen that we have available. So just the other night, I rewatched one of my favorite films, Playtime, by Jacques Tati, late 60s, Monsieur Hulot. Incredible film about a man who just goes to Paris, to a Paris he doesn't recognize anymore. And everything is, there are no close-ups. Everything is a kind of wide shot. There's 100 things happening in every single frame. And it would just be incredible to see that on the big screen. So that, at the moment, if you ask me tomorrow, it would probably be a different answer. But at the moment, that's what I'd say. Playtime, Jacques Tati.
Excellent. One I've not seen, so I'll have to check that one out. It sounds very art house and experimental, and that's the kind of stuff I love. But thank you again for your time, Kit. I'll let you get back to your much well done work that you've been doing. All the team here have been phenomenal. Everyone's, like you said, the vibe is amazing, and everyone's so positive and so welcoming and so smiley as well, including yourself. So thanks again for your time.
Thank you very much.